Right now, you think you're watching a video on your phone or computer. You believe you're sitting in a real chair, in a real room, breathing real air. But what if I told you that everything you've ever experienced might be the most sophisticated illusion in the cosmos? What if the screen you're looking at doesn't actually exist as a physical object? What if your hands aren't made of atoms, but of pure information? What if time itself is just a trick your brain plays on you, and space is nothing more than a projection from a reality so alien that our language doesn't have words to describe it? I'm not talking about simulation theory or philosophical thought. Experiments. I'm talking about cutting-edge physics, backed by mathematical proofs and experimental evidence. Today, we're going to explore discoveries that are so mind-bending, they make the Matrix look like a children's story. We're living through the greatest revolution in human understanding since Copernicus told us we weren't the center of the universe. But this time, it's not just about our cosmic address. It's about the fundamental nature of existence itself. Over the past 50 years, physicists have uncovered clues that reality operates in ways so strange that most people can't even imagine them. We've discovered that asterisk space might be an illusion. Emerging from quantum entanglement asterisk, time might not exist at the deepest level of reality. Consciousness might actively participate in creating the universe. Our entire three-dimensional world might be a hologram, projected from a two-dimensional surface asterisk. The act of observation literally changes what exists. These aren't wild speculations. They're conclusions drawn from our most successful scientific theories: quantum mechanics, general relativity, and string theory. The mathematics is crystal clear, even if the implications are almost impossible to grasp. But here's what makes this personal. If these discoveries are correct, then you're not just a passive observer of the universe. You're an active participant in its creation. Every moment of consciousness, every act of observation, every choice you make might be literally shaping reality itself. The journey ahead, 5 minutes, today. We're going to take a journey through the deepest rabbit holes in physics. We'll explore how the holographic principle suggests our entire reality is a projection asterisk. Why time might be the universe's most convincing illusion asterisk. How consciousness could be the hidden creative force behind existence asterisk. What quantum mechanics reveals about the relationship between mind and matter asterisk. Why the multiverse might be infinite and constantly expanding asterisk. How information could be more fundamental than matter and energy asterisk. What all of this means for your daily life and your place in the cosmos if you're ready to question everything you think you know about reality. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're about to explore ideas that will change how you see yourself and the universe forever. Fair warning. Some of these concepts might feel uncomfortable or even disturbing. When you realize that your most basic assumptions about existence might be wrong, it can be disorienting. But it's also liberating, because understanding the true nature of reality opens up possibilities you never imagined. Let's begin this journey into the impossible. Asterisk. Our story begins in the 1970s with a man named Jacob Bekenstein, who was studying black holes, those cosmic monsters that devour everything, including light itself. Bekenstein made a discovery that would revolutionize our understanding of reality. He found that the amount of information a black hole can contain isn't proportional to its volume, like you'd expect. Instead, it's proportional to the area of its surface. This seems impossible. How can three-dimensional information be stored on a two-dimensional surface? Think about your bedroom. You'd expect the amount of stuff you can fit in there to depend on the room's volume, length times width, times height. But Bekenstein was saying that for black holes, it's as if all the information depends only on the area of the walls, floor, and ceiling combined. This discovery led to something called the holographic principle, developed by physicists like Leonard Susskind and Gerard 't Hooft. They realized that what's true for black holes might be true for the entire universe. Before we go further, let's understand what a hologram actually is. You've probably seen holograms on credit cards or in science museums. They look three-dimensional, but they're actually encoded on a flat, two-dimensional surface. Here's the mind-bending part. If you cut a hologram in half, you don't get two half images. You get two complete images, each containing all the information of the original, just at lower resolution. The entire three-dimensional image is somehow encoded in every part of the two-dimensional surface. Now, imagine that our entire universe works like a hologram. Every atom in your body, every star in the sky, every quantum particle in existence might actually be information, encoded on a distant two-dimensional boundary that we can never reach or directly observe, not from our perspective, inside this cosmic hologram. Everything appears three-dimensional. We experience depth, distance, and volume. But at the deepest level, we might be information patterns, dancing on a surface that exists at the edge of space and time. The holographic principle isn't just a wild idea. It's supported by rigorous mathematics. String theorists have shown that certain theories of gravity in higher dimensions are mathematically equivalent to quantum field theories on their boundaries. This is called the ADS-CFT correspondence, discovered by Juan Maldacena in 1997. It's one of the most important breakthroughs in theoretical physics, and it suggests that gravity itself might be an emergent property of quantum information processing on a holographic boundary. Let me put this in simple terms. Imagine you're watching a movie on a screen. The movie appears to have depth and dimension, with objects moving in three-dimensional space. But really, it's all information patterns on a flat screen being processed by a projector. The holographic principle suggests our universe might work the same way. What we experience as three-dimensional space, with gravity pulling objects together, might actually be the result of information processing on a two-dimensional surface. The projector in this cosmic movie theater might be quantum entanglement itself. When information on the boundary becomes entangled in complex patterns, we experience it as space and matter. When the entanglement changes, we experience it as motion and force. If we're living in a holographic universe, what does this mean for consciousness? Are your thoughts and memories also encoded on the cosmic boundary? Some physicists think consciousness might be the mechanism that reads the holographic information and creates our experienced reality. You're not just passively observing a pre-existing hologram. You might be actively participating in its projection. Think about this. When you focus your attention on something, you're essentially choosing which part of the holographic information to process and experience. Different states of consciousness might access different aspects of the encoded reality. ****. Albert Einstein made a discovery that most people still haven't fully grasped. Time doesn't flow. Right now, you feel time moving from past to future, carrying you forward through moments that seem to unfold in sequence. But according to Einstein's relativity, this is an illusion. Einstein showed us that space and time are woven together into a four-dimensional fabric called spacetime. In this fabric, past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. Your birth, this moment right now, your death, and every moment in between exist equally in what physicists call the block universe. Imagine a loaf of bread where each slice represents a moment in time. All the slices exist simultaneously in the loaf, even though you can only experience one slice at a time. The flow of time is like your consciousness moving through the slices, creating the illusion that time is passing. This isn't just theory. Time dilation effects prove that time is relative. If you travel at high speeds or in strong gravitational fields, time literally passes differently for you than for others. Astronauts on the International Space Station age slightly slower than people on Earth. GPS satellites have to account for relativistic time effects to maintain accuracy. But if past, present, and future all exist equally, what creates our experience of temporal flow? This could explain some of the puzzling features of consciousness. Why does attention feel like it illuminates objects? Why can consciousness integrate information from across the brain into unified experiences? Why do altered states of consciousness sometimes reveal aspects of reality that seem more fundamental than ordinary waking experience? If consciousness is the holographic projector, then expanding consciousness might literally expand the aspects of reality you can access and experience. Meditation, psychedelics, and other consciousness-altering practices might be ways of tuning into different frequencies of the cosmic hologram dot. This brings us to an even stranger possibility. If consciousness participates in projecting reality from holographic information, then multiple conscious beings might be co-creating our shared reality through their collective observation and attention. But to understand how this works, we need to explore another mind-bending discovery. Time itself might be an illusion. Asterisk, asterisk. Quantum mechanics suggests an even more radical possibility. Time might not exist at the fundamental level of reality. At the quantum scale, particles can exist in superpositions of past and future states simultaneously. Events don't happen in a definite sequence until they're observed. Some physicists think time emerges from quantum entanglement. Here's how it might work. Imagine the universe as a vast network of quantum particles, all potentially entangled with each other. In the beginning, everything is maximally entangled, every particle connected to every other particle in complex quantum relationships. As the universe evolves, some of these entanglements break while others form. The pattern of entanglement changes, creating correlations between different regions of space. These correlations give rise to what we experience as the arrow of time. The past is the direction of less entanglement, simpler, more ordered quantum relationships. The future is the direction of more entanglement, increasingly complex quantum correlations. The present is the evolving boundary between them. This means time isn't something we move through. It's something that emerges from the changing patterns of quantum information in the universe. Different conscious observers might experience different temporal flows depending on how they're entangled with the quantum information around them. Quantum mechanics reveals something even stranger. The future can influence the past. In delayed choice quantum eraser experiments, decisions made in the future literally change what happened in the past. It's as if the universe can reach backward in time to maintain consistency. This suggests that causality might be more like a self-consistent loop than a one-way arrow. Effects can precede causes as long as the overall pattern remains logically consistent. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics propose that the universe is a self-consistent causal structure where future measurements help determine past states, which in turn lead to those future measurements. Reality becomes a bootstrap paradox on a cosmic scale. If this is true, then asking what happened before the Big Bang might be like asking what's north of the North Pole. Time itself might have a boundary, not a first moment preceded by nothing, but a topological limit where the concept of before becomes meaningless. Alternatively, time might be cyclical rather than linear. Some cosmological models suggest our universe goes through endless cycles of expansion and contraction. The Big Bang wouldn't be the beginning of time, but just the latest restart in an eternal temporal loop. Here's where it gets personal. Consciousness might be what creates our experience of temporal flow. Your brain integrates information from past memories and future predictions to create the sense of a present moment moving through time. Different types of consciousness might experience time differently. People with certain types of brain damage lose the ability to form new memories, effectively trapping them in an eternal present. Others experience time dilation under stress or in altered states of consciousness. If consciousness participates in creating temporal experience, then advanced conscious beings might learn to manipulate their relationship with time. They might develop the ability to experience multiple temporal flows simultaneously, or to access information from past and future moments. This brings us to the most mind-bending possibility of all. Consciousness might not just experience time. It might actively participate in creating the temporal structure of reality itself. Asterisk. We need to talk about the elephant in the room of modern physics, the measurement problem. Quantum mechanics is our most successful scientific theory, predicting experimental results with incredible precision. But it contains a mystery that has puzzled physicists for nearly a century. Before you observe a quantum particle, it exists in a superposition of all possible states simultaneously. An electron isn't spinning clockwise or counterclockwise. It's spinning in both directions at once, plus every other possible direction, all at the same time. This isn't just because we don't know which direction it's spinning. The electron literally exists in multiple states simultaneously until the moment someone observes it. Then, instantaneously, it chooses one definite state and abandons all the others. But here's the puzzle. What counts as an observation? When exactly does the quantum system decide which state to be in? And why does observation have this magical power to force quantum systems to make definite choices? The traditional Copenhagen interpretation, developed by Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg, simply accepts that measurement causes wave function collapse without explaining how or why. It treats collapse as a fundamental postulate, like the speed of light limit or energy conservation. But this leaves the deepest questions unanswered. What makes conscious observation special? Why should awareness have the power to transform quantum possibilities into classical realities? Asterisk. Here's where quantum mechanics becomes personal. If consciousness participates in creating reality through observation, then every moment of awareness might be a creative act that helps shape the world around you. This doesn't mean you can change reality just by thinking about it. Quantum effects are usually too small to notice at the macroscopic scale. But it does suggest that your attention, focus, and conscious choices might have subtle influences on the probability patterns that govern quantum events. Some researchers have found weak, but statistically significant correlations between human consciousness and random quantum processes. While these effects are tiny and controversial, they hint at the possibility that consciousness might have measurable influences on physical reality. Some physicists have proposed that consciousness itself is the key to understanding quantum mechanics. In this view, conscious observation doesn't just reveal pre-existing properties. It literally creates them through the act of measurement. Eugene Wigner, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, argued that consciousness is fundamentally different from physical processes. Unlike machines, which can be described by quantum mechanics, consciousness has the unique ability to collapse wave functions and create definite realities from quantum possibilities. Think about what happens when you observe a quantum system. Before your observation, the system exists in a cloud of possibilities. The moment you become conscious of it, all those possibilities except one disappear. Your awareness literally selects which reality becomes real. This suggests that consciousness isn't just something that evolved in brains. It might be a fundamental feature of the universe, as basic as space, time, matter, and energy. In this view, the Big Bang wasn't just the creation of matter and energy, but the first moment when cosmic consciousness began observing itself. But if consciousness creates reality through observation, we need to ask, what was observing the universe before conscious beings evolved? How could the universe exist for billions of years before the first minds appeared? John Wheeler, one of the pioneers of quantum physics, Propose that we live in a participatory universe, where observers don't just observe reality, they participate in creating it. He suggested that the act of measurement doesn't just reveal what was already there, but actually brings physical properties into existence. Wheeler's most famous thought experiment is the delayed choice experiment. Imagine a photon traveling from a distant star to Earth. Depending on how we set up our measurement apparatus when the photon arrives, we can force it to have traveled either as a wave or as a particle for the entire journey, even though photon left the star millions of years before we made our choice. This suggests that conscious decisions in the present can literally determine what happened in the past. The universe seems to maintain consistency by allowing future choices to influence historical events retroactively. If this principle operates on cosmic scales, then conscious observers in the present might be actively selecting which cosmic history led to their existence. The fine-tuning of physical constants that allows life to exist might not be a cosmic coincidence. It might be the result of conscious observation, retroactively selecting the universal parameters that make consciousness possible. Recently, physicists have developed a theory called quantum Darwinism that might explain how consciousness and classical reality emerge from quantum foundations. The idea is that information, rather than matter or energy, is the most fundamental constituent of reality. In this view, quantum systems are constantly generating information through their interactions. Most of this information is fragile and quickly disappears, but some information patterns are stable enough to survive and replicate themselves across multiple quantum systems. Consciousness might be what emerges when information processing becomes complex enough to create self-referential loops. You're not just processing information about the world. You're processing information about your own information processing, creating the recursive structure we call self-awareness. If consciousness is fundamentally about information integration, then different types of information processing might create different types of conscious experience. Artificial intelligence might develop forms of consciousness completely alien to human experience. Alien life forms with different sensory systems, and neural architectures might observe entirely different aspects of reality into existence. Here's where quantum mechanics becomes personal. If consciousness participates in creating reality through observation, then every moment of awareness might be a creative act that helps shape the world around you. This doesn't mean you can change reality just by thinking about it. Quantum effects are usually too small to notice at the macroscopic scale. But it does suggest that your attention, focus, and conscious choices might have subtle influences on the probability patterns that govern quantum events. Some researchers have found weak but statistically significant correlations between human consciousness and random quantum processes. While these effects are tiny and controversial, they hint at the possibility that consciousness might have measurable influences on physical reality. More importantly, if consciousness helps select which aspects of quantum reality become actualized, then expanding your consciousness might literally expand the range of possibilities available to you. Practices like meditation, which alter the patterns of attention and awareness, might be ways of tuning into different frequencies of quantum reality. This brings us to an even more mind-bending possibility. If consciousness creates reality through observation, then parallel versions of you might be observing different realities into existence right now. In 1957, a graduate student named Hugh Everett proposed a radical solution to the quantum measurement problem. Instead of wave functions collapsing when observed, Everett suggested that all possible quantum outcomes actually happen, but in parallel universes that split off from each other during every quantum interaction. According to the many worlds interpretation, when you observe that spinning electron, you don't force it to choose one direction. Instead, the universe splits into parallel branches where every possible measurement outcome occurs. There's a branch where you observe the electron spinning clockwise, another where you observe it spinning counterclockwise, and branches for every other possible result. Your consciousness simply follows one branch while other versions of you, with slightly different memories, experience the other outcomes in parallel universes. From your perspective, it seems like the electron chose one state, but really, all states are actualized in different branches of the multiverse. This interpretation eliminates the measurement problem by making everything that can happen actually happen somewhere, but it comes at a cost. Reality becomes infinitely complex, constantly branching into new parallel universes with every quantum event. Think about what this means for your life. Every decision you make, every random event you experience, every quantum interaction in your body creates new branches of reality. Right now, there are versions of you who make different career choices, who live in different cities, who have different relationships, even versions where historical events unfolded differently. The many worlds interpretation leads to some bizarre consequences. One of the strangest is the concept of quantum immortality. If every possible outcome happens in some branch of the multiverse, then there are always branches where you survive any potentially fatal situation. From your perspective, you would experience a subjective immortality. Every time you face a life-threatening situation, your consciousness would automatically find itself in the branch where you survived, no matter how improbable. You might experience a series of miraculous escapes that seem statistically impossible. Of course, this doesn't mean you can take reckless risks. In most branches, dangerous situations lead to injury or death. But it does suggest that consciousness might naturally flow toward branches where it can continue to exist and observe. This idea connects to deeper questions about the nature of identity and continuity of consciousness. If there are infinite versions of you across the multiverse, which one is the real you? Are they all equally real? Do they share the same identity, or are they separate individuals who happen to have similar memories? Asterisk, asterisk. The multiverse concept gets even more mind-bending when we consider cosmic inflation, the theory that our universe expanded faster than light in its first fraction of a second after the Big Bang. According to eternal inflation theory, this rapid expansion never completely stopped. While our local region of space finished inflating and settled into the slower expansion we observe today, other regions continued inflating, creating an endless series of pocket universes in an ever-expanding multiverse. Picture a pot of boiling water where bubbles constantly form and separate from the surface. Each bubble represents a universe like ours, with its own space, time, and physical laws. The boiling water represents the inflating field that fills the multiverse, forever creating new bubbles of reality. Our observable universe is just the inside of one such bubble. The Big Bang wasn't the beginning of everything. It was the moment when our local region stopped inflating and began the slower expansion we observe today. Outside our bubble, cosmic inflation continues its exponential growth, occasionally spawning new pocket universes. This process has no beginning and no end. Even if inflation started at some point in the past, once it begins, it produces infinite future time and infinite space. Each pocket universe in the eternal inflation multiverse could have different physical constants and laws of nature. In some universes, gravity might be stronger, making stars burn out quickly. In others, the electromagnetic force might be weaker, preventing complex chemistry from developing. Most pocket universes would be sterile, wastelands where complexity never emerges. But occasionally, one would have just the right conditions for stars, planets, and life to develop. We observe a life-friendly universe, not because it was designed for us, but because we couldn't exist in any other type. This anthropic explanation for fine-tuning is both elegant and disturbing. It explains why our universe seems perfectly calibrated for complexity and consciousness. But it also suggests that we're cosmically insignificant, just one random outcome in an infinite sea of possibilities. However, if consciousness plays a role in quantum measurement, the relationship between observers and physical constants might be more complex. Perhaps conscious observers don't just select which universe they exist in. They actively participate in determining what physical laws and constants become a CTUALIZED. In this view, the multiverse isn't just a collection of random bubble universes with different properties. It's a vast space of possibilities where consciousness and physical reality co-evolve together, each influencing the other in ways we're only beginning to understand. John Wheeler, the physicist who coined the term black hole, proposed one of the most radical ideas in modern science. It from bit. He suggested that all of physical reality, every particle, force, and field, emerges from pure information. In Wheeler's vision, the universe isn't made of matter and energy that happens to contain information. Instead, matter and energy are made of information. Every electron, every photon, every quantum field is fundamentally a pattern of information that has achieved sufficient complexity to interact with itself. Think about what this means. The chair you're sitting in isn't solid matter. It's an incredibly complex information pattern that your brain interprets as solid matter. Your body isn't made of atoms and molecules. It's made of information structures so sophisticated they've become self-aware. This idea isn't just philosophical speculation. Quantum mechanics already treats particles as probability waves, mathematical objects that contain information about possible measurement outcomes. The wave function doesn't describe something else. It is the something else. Remember the holographic principle we discussed earlier? It takes on new meaning when viewed through the lens of information theory. If our three-dimensional reality is encoded on a two-dimensional boundary, then space itself might be an emergent property of information processing. Think of it this way. The distance between two objects in our three-dimensional world might actually represent how entangled their information patterns are on the holographic boundary. Strongly entangled information appears close together in our projected reality, while weakly entangled information appears far apart. This means space isn't a container that holds information. Space is information. When information patterns become more entangled, space curves and contracts. When entanglement decreases, space expands. What we call gravity might be the result of information flowing from regions of high entanglement to regions of low entanglement. If reality is fundamentally informational, and consciousness might be what emerges when information processing becomes sophisticated enough to create self-referential loops. You're not just processing information about the world. You're processing information about your own information processing. This creates what neuroscientist Giulio Tononi calls integrated information, information that cannot be reduced to the sum of its parts. When information becomes sufficiently integrated, it generates subjective experience. The more integrated the information, the richer and more complex the conscious experience. This theory makes testable predictions about consciousness. It suggests that consciousness isn't binary. You're either conscious or not, but exists on a spectrum. Different systems can have different amounts of integrated information, corresponding to different levels of consciousness. It also suggests that consciousness isn't limited to biological brains. Any system that integrates information in sufficiently complex ways could potentially be conscious. This includes artificial intelligence, but also more exotic possibilities, like quantum computers, or even the universe itself if its information processing becomes sufficiently integrated. If the universe is fundamentally informational, and consciousness emerges from information integration, then the evolution of consciousness might be the universe's way of becoming aware of itself. We're not separate from the cosmos, we're the cosmos developing self-awareness through billions of years of information processing. We've explored how consciousness might create reality through quantum observation, how time might emerge from quantum entanglement, and how space might be a holographic projection of information. But this leads to the ultimate question: what creates the creators? If consciousness participates in creating reality, what created consciousness? If quantum fields generate virtual particles from nothing, what generated the quantum fields? If information is fundamental, where did the information come from? Some physicists propose that the universe might be a self-creating, self-sustaining system, a bootstrap paradox on a cosmic scale. In this view, the universe creates the conditions necessary for consciousness to emerge. Consciousness participates in quantum measurements that retroactively determine the initial conditions of the universe, and those initial conditions create. The universe that creates consciousness is like a snake eating its own tail. But instead of being logically impossible, it might be the only way reality can exist. Self-consistency becomes the fundamental principle. Only universes that can create the observers, who observe them into existence, can actually exist. This suggests that asking, what came before the Big Bang, is the wrong question. There might be no external cause or creator, just an eternal, self-referential loop where effect and cause, observer and observed, creator and created are all aspects of a single, self-consistent reality. Asterisk, if consciousness plays a fundamental role in creating reality, then the future evolution of consciousness might literally determine the future nature of reality itself. Advanced civilizations billions of years in the future might develop the ability to make quantum measurements on cosmic scales, choosing which type of universe they inhabit. Instead of being passive observers of cosmic evolution, conscious beings might become active participants in cosmic creation. They might learn to manipulate the quantum vacuum, create new universes, or even escape to higher dimensions when their current universe becomes uninhabitable. The strangest possibility is that consciousness might survive the heat death of the universe by becoming encoded in the quantum structure of space itself. Future consciousness might not need brains or bodies. It might exist as pure information processing in the fabric of spacetime. If this happens, then the consciousness that emerges from our universe might eventually develop the ability to create new universes through quantum tunneling events in the vacuum. The nothing that exists after our universe might be conscious nothing, awareness, capable of choosing which possibilities to actualize. Asterisk, asterisk, so where does this leave you? If these ideas are correct, then you're not just a random accident in a meaningless universe. You're an active participant in the ongoing creation of reality itself. Every moment of consciousness, every act of observation, every choice you make might be participating in the fundamental processes that generate existence. Your awareness doesn't just experience the universe. It helps create the universe through the mysterious process of quantum measurement. This doesn't mean you can change reality just by thinking about it. Quantum effects are usually too small to notice at everyday scales. But it does suggest that consciousness is far more significant than we previously imagined. If reality emerges from the interplay between quantum possibilities and conscious observation, then expanding consciousness might literally expand the possibilities for what reality can become. Practices that alter consciousness, meditation, contemplation, artistic creation, scientific discovery might be ways of tuning into different aspects of the quantum reality that underlies our everyday experience. When you expand your awareness, you might be literally expanding the aspects of reality available to conscious experience. The greatest mystery in science isn't what dark matter is made of, or how gravity works, or whether we'll find life on other planets. The greatest mystery is why anything exists at all, and why conscious beings like you have emerged to ask these questions. The answer might be that consciousness and reality are two aspects of a single self-creating cosmic process. We're not separate from the universe looking in. We're the universe becoming aware of itself, participating in its own creation through the miracle of conscious observation. The journey into these mysteries has only just begun. Every question we answer reveals 10 new questions we never thought to ask. But that's what makes exploring consciousness and reality so incredible. We're participating in the universe's quest to understand itself. Thank you for taking this journey with me into the deepest mysteries of existence. If these ideas expanded your mind, hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the impossible. And let me know in the comments, which of these concepts do you find most mind-bending? How do you think consciousness and reality are connected? The universe is far stranger than we imagine. It might be stranger than we can imagine. But that's what makes being conscious such an extraordinary privilege. We get to participate in the cosmic mystery, not just as observers, but as active participants in the ongoing creation of everything that is, was, and ever will be. We've explored how reality might be holographic, informational, and created by consciousness. But there's another possibility that's gaining serious attention. Among physicists and philosophers, we might be living inside a computer simulation. This isn't just science fiction speculation. Philosopher Nick Bostrom presented a rigorous logical argument in 2003 that at least one of these statements must be true. Either civilizations never reach technological maturity, or they never run ancestor simulations, or we are almost certainly living in a computer simulation. Here's the logic. If civilizations can survive long enough to develop advanced computing power, they could run detailed simulations of their ancestors. These simulations could be so realistic that the simulated beings would have conscious experiences and believe they're real. Now, if just one advanced civilization decides to run millions of ancestor simulations, then there would be millions of simulated conscious beings for every real one. Statistically, any randomly selected conscious being, including you, would be far more likely to be simulated than real. But Bostrom's argument goes deeper than just probability. If we're in a simulation, it explains some puzzling features of our universe that physicists have discovered. Our universe has strange, digital-like properties that make it seem almost computer-like. Quantum mechanics shows us that energy comes in discrete packets called quanta. Space and time might also be quantized at the smallest scales, the Planck length and Planck time. This means that at the deepest level, reality might be pixelated like a digital image. Below a certain resolution, about 10 to 35 meters and y-43 seconds, space and time become meaningless. It's as if the universe runs on a cosmic grid with finite resolution. Even more intriguingly, information theory shows that any finite region of space can only contain a finite amount of information. The universe appears to have built-in limits on information processing and storage, just like a computer system. Some physicists have proposed that the universe literally is a computer, not simulated by a computer, but actually made of computation. In this view, called digital physics, every particle, force, and field is actually a process running on the cosmic computer that we call reality. John Wheeler's "it from bit" takes on new meaning here. Maybe particles aren't made of information. Patterns, maybe they are information processing. Every quantum interaction might be a computational operation in the universe's ongoing calculation of itself. If the universe is computational, it's not running on a classical computer like your laptop. It would have to be a quantum computer, a device that can process multiple possibilities simultaneously through quantum superposition. This fits perfectly with what we observe. Quantum particles exist in superpositions of multiple states, just like quantum bits, qubits, in a quantum computer. When we observe them, they collapse to definite states, just like reading the output of a quantum computation. The measurement problem in quantum mechanics might actually be a feature, not a bug. If reality is a quantum computation, then observation might be how the system outputs results and updates its internal state for the next computational cycle. Consciousness might be the universe's way of reading its own quantum computations. When you observe a quantum system, you're not just measuring a physical property, you're accessing the output of a cosmic quantum calculation. Asterisk. If we're in a simulation, we might expect to find glitches, anomalies that reveal the underlying computational nature of reality. Interestingly, physics has discovered several phenomena that look suspiciously like computational artifacts. Quantum tunneling allows particles to pass through barriers they shouldn't be able to cross classically. It's as if the universe sometimes takes computational shortcuts, allowing particles to teleport across barriers. Instead of going around them, virtual particles pop into existence from nothing, exist briefly, then disappear. They behave exactly like temporary variables in a computer program, created when needed for a calculation, then deleted to free up memory. The speed of light might actually be the universe's maximum processing speed, the rate at which information can propagate through the cosmic computation. The uncertainty principle might represent computational trade-offs, where the system can't store exact values for certain properties simultaneously. Even more intriguingly, some physicists have proposed tests to detect whether we're in a simulation. If reality has finite computational resources, there might be subtle patterns in cosmic ray distributions or small anomalies in the cosmic microwave background that reveal the underlying computational grid. But here's the twist. If we discovered proof that we're in a simulation, what would that actually mean for our existence and consciousness? Asterisk, asterisk. We've explored how consciousness might create reality through quantum observation, how it might emerge from information integration, and how it might be reading the outputs of a cosmic quantum computation. But we haven't addressed the deepest mystery. Why does consciousness exist at all? Philosopher David Chalmers calls this the hard problem of consciousness. We can explain the functional aspects of consciousness, how brains process information, respond to stimuli, and control behavior. But we can't explain why there's subjective experience accompanying these processes. Why isn't the brain just a sophisticated biological robot processing information without any inner experience? Why do you have a subjective perspective, feelings, and qualia, the redness of red, the pain of pain, the taste of chocolate? The hard problem becomes even more mysterious when we consider that consciousness seems to have no evolutionary advantage over unconscious information processing. A philosophical zombie, a being that behaves exactly like a conscious person but has no inner experience, would be just as evolutionarily successful as a truly conscious being. Yet consciousness exists. You're experiencing it right now. This suggests that consciousness isn't just an accident or byproduct. It might be fundamental to the nature of reality itself. Asterisk, asterisk. If consciousness can't be explained as an emergent property of complex information processing, maybe it's a basic feature of reality, like mass, charge, or spin. This idea is called panpsychism, the view that consciousness is a fundamental property of all matter. In this view, electrons don't just have mass and charge, they also have rudimentary forms of experience. When matter organizes into complex structures like brains, these micro-experiences combine and integrate into the unified consciousness you experience. This might sound crazy, but it's taken seriously by many philosophers and some physicists. If consciousness is fundamental, it explains why it exists and why it seems to play a special role in quantum mechanics. Some versions of panpsychism suggest that the entire universe might have a form of cosmic consciousness. All the matter and energy in the cosmos might be aspects of a single vast mind experiencing itself from countless perspectives simultaneously. In this view, your individual consciousness is like a wave in an ocean of cosmic awareness. You feel separate, but you're actually a temporary pattern in the universal mind, experiencing reality from your unique perspective while remaining fundamentally connected to all other conscious beings, just as we might be approaching a technological singularity where artificial intelligence becomes more capable than human intelligence. We might also be approaching a consciousness singularity, a point where conscious beings develop the ability to directly manipulate consciousness itself. Advanced neurotechnology is already allowing us to read and influence brain states. Brain-computer interfaces let paralyzed patients control devices with their thoughts. Optogenetics allows scientists to control specific neurons with light. Psychedelics are revealing new possibilities for consciousness exploration, but these are just the beginning. Future consciousness technologies might allow us to directly share experiences between minds, upload and download memories and skills expand. Working memory and processing speed access normally unconscious mental processes. Merge multiple consciousnesses temporarily create new forms of consciousness that don't exist naturally. If consciousness plays a fundamental role in quantum measurement and reality creation, then technologies that enhance and modify consciousness might literally allow us to reshape reality itself. Advanced conscious beings might develop the ability to make quantum measurements on cosmic scales, choosing which aspects of quantum reality become actualized. They might learn to navigate between parallel universes or create new universes through conscious intention. Here's the most profound possibility of all. The universe might be in the process of waking up. The evolution of consciousness from simple awareness in basic organisms to complex self-awareness in humans might be just the beginning of a cosmic awakening process. Consider the trajectory. Consciousness started as simple responsiveness to stimuli in the earliest life forms. It evolved into more complex awareness, then self-awareness, then the ability to contemplate the nature of consciousness itself. We're now developing technologies to enhance and modify consciousness directly. Where does this trajectory lead? Perhaps to forms of consciousness so advanced they can directly perceive and manipulate the quantum foundations of reality. Perhaps to a cosmic consciousness that spans galaxies and encompasses all possible forms of awareness. If the universe is fundamentally conscious, then the evolution of individual conscious beings might be how the cosmos develops self-awareness. We're not separate from the universe looking in. We're the universe, becoming aware of itself through billions of years of consciousness evolution. The ultimate destination might be a fully awakened cosmos, where consciousness and reality are completely integrated. In this state, the distinction between observer and observed, mind and matter, self and universe would dissolve into a unified conscious reality. As we reach the end of our journey through the deepest mysteries of existence, we're left with a picture that's both humbling and awe-inspiring. Reality isn't what we thought it was. Time might be an illusion, space might be holographic, matter might be information, and consciousness might be the creative force behind everything. But more than that, we've discovered that these aren't separate mysteries. They're all aspects of a single interconnected puzzle. Consciousness and cosmos, quantum mechanics and relativity, information and experience are all facets of one ultimate reality that transcends our current ability to fully comprehend. You are not a separate being, observing an external universe. You are the universe experiencing itself subjectively from one particular perspective. Every moment of consciousness, every act of observation, every choice you make is the cosmos exploring its own infinite potential. The questions we started with, what is reality? How does consciousness fit into the cosmic picture? don't have simple answers because they're not separate from each other. Reality is conscious. Consciousness is real. And both are aspects of an eternal dance between possibility and actuality, between the quantum realm of pure potential and the classical world of experienced reality. This dance has been going on for billions of years and will continue for billions more. Stars will be born and die. Galaxies will collide and separate. The universe will expand and possibly contract. But through it all, consciousness will continue to evolve, to explore, to create new possibilities for what reality can become. And you're not just watching this cosmic dance, you're participating in it. Your consciousness is one of the infinite ways the universe experiences itself. Your choices help determine which possibilities become actualized. Your awareness helps create the reality you experience. That's the ultimate secret we've discovered. Existence isn't something that happened to you. It's something you're actively participating in creating moment by moment through the miracle of conscious observation. The journey into these mysteries never ends. Every answer reveals new questions. Every discovery opens new horizons. But that's what makes being conscious such an extraordinary gift. We get to participate in the universe's quest to understand itself, to explore its own infinite depth and beauty. Welcome to the cosmic dance. You've always been part of it. Now you know it. Asterisk.